Well, everybody, I am here with James from RetroHQ, and we are
Hello.
here to talk about the Atari Jaguar. Or Jaguar. I'm sorry, I forgot who I was
You
talking
are.
to. But I was just going to kind of go through an overview and have James correct me every time I make a mistake, and then play some games afterwards just to hang out because I think there's a few things available today that might be a benefit to people who are fans of the console, or maybe you have no desire to buy a Jaguar, but you were kind of curious about it and wanted the opinion of a couple of hardware nerds who also really like the Jaguar. So I'm going to switch over to a different view, so you're not going to see James, but he's obviously going to be here with us. So you spin back around and do that. All right. If everybody would just let us know, can you still hear us both? James, you're still there?
I'm here.
Good. I have a tendency to mess up audio in these streams, so I just wanted to make sure we're still here.
Easily done.
Um, I will try to be checking the chat as much as I can, but I will also be concentrating on this. So please excuse me if I accidentally miss anything. I don't usually miss super chats, but it has happened. So, okay, well, let's start out. This is an Atari Jaguar.
Bet you haven't seen one.
This is a console that has a notoriety like very few others because back when this thing was announced, it was announced as the world's first 64-bit console. And there was a lot of debate between us nerds as to whether it was actually 64-bit or not. And I think we determined that it was, right?
It's got a 64-bit data bus, so I mean, I think that's kind of how they sort of judge it. I don't really know. I mean, a lot of the kind of x64 stuff for PC is based on like the addressable, the addressable space or the address bus, but whatever. It's an interesting little thing, which sadly could have kind of been so much more if it had just had those extra kind of 6 months of development by the old Flare guys to actually get it working properly. But yeah, it's I love it. I don't know why. It's it's one of those machines.
I do too. It's got the very interesting design, the weird little circle hump in the middle. I guess that helped the CD module kind of set in its place.
Mm.
But these things are very, very finicky. I purchased one many, many years ago that just worked. And then everyone since then has not. And in fact, I even a friend of mine who actually owns this one donated the problematic one I had to James because there were so many issues with it, and it had so many problems from the factory that we just wanted it in the hands of somebody who could benefit from it and spread the knowledge to the rest of us. So yeah,
Yeah,
this
that's
is
it's a
a
funny one. I
workable.
still haven't looked at that properly yet. It's on my list when I get back to the Jaguar stuff, which hopefully shouldn't be long. But yeah, it's funny. There's a few people. There's not many who have had issues as you did with things just not working and locking up and everything else. I guess it must be 99% are okay, and then you get this small percentage which are just really flaky. I don't know whether it was that bad with commercial stuff or whether it's more to do with what I'm doing. I don't know, but
Oh
yeah.
no, it was equally as bad with commercial
Oh,
stuff.
there we go. Okay.
Because that's when I mean, I try not to ever abuse the fact that I have a direct line to a lot of developers, but sometimes I'm just so busy I can't help it. And there were a few times where I was like, "James, your ROM card doesn't work. What the hell happened?"
Mm,
And you were very patient, and then I went back and double and triple and quadruple checked, and it had nothing to do with your ROM card. The Jaguar
yeah.
itself would not work with retail carts or anything else. So that's I just wanted to start out with that tiny little bit of negativity, just to warn people that even if you buy a mint condition one, it might not perform the way that you would expect. You might have to do a recap, you might have to change the cartridge slot, or you might do all those things and it still might have issues. So,
Yeah, I had the same thing with one I bought off eBay. It worked, I think, fine with some games. Other games, it died after like about 20, 30 seconds, just froze. That was it. No
mm.
idea what was wrong with that. Just, yeah, weird.
To go through some of the basic options, it has two controller ports that are D-sub adapters, so it looks like a VGA connector, but it is not a VGA connector. It is just a port that they used for controllers. There was a multi-tap adapter that allowed up to 5 total players. That was used with White Man Can't Jump. I am not being racist. That was a movie that old people watched back in the 90s. And that was also a terrible game. However, I heard that you could use that with NBA Jam to do 2-on-2. I had one here, but I sent it over to my friend who actually owns this because I don't have 4 friends that would want to try to play NBA Jam on a Jaguar, even though it is a neat version. In the back, it has this very odd exposed panel. And do you know, did these ship with a plastic cover over it? I
Ooh,
don't.
that's a good question. I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know. I've certainly had I had an Acorn Electron recently, and I mean all of the kind of 8-bit machines in the UK from that era had that style of edge connector just bare on the back. But yeah, this Acorn Electron had the little plastic shield still over the connector. So I don't know. Certainly, some people shipped with little plastic bits over it, but given it was Atari, probably not. Save the extra cent per console or whatever.
I don't remember the one I had as a kid, but which I'll get to that story later. But all of the ones I've bought used came exposed like this, which is weird. But it does have a built-in RF adapter, which could very well be how I first used it. Although I can't remember if mine ever came with a composite video. Same as a Genesis One power supply, so you could use the same triad as a Genesis One, or just Genesis One, or Mega Drive One, or whatever power. And here is the AV out and expansion out, which is pretty interesting. I've talked about this on the podcast, but I wanted to show a few different options that were available. So, of course, you could just buy an AV cable. So you could plug in, these are, I don't know if you can see it, but this is labeled top, because there's really no keying on there. Yeah, you could sort of see that in the stream. So you could just connect that right in. And there is no mod required. It gets RGB just fine. It gets as well as S-video and composite video. And there's also a few more signals on there that are, I've never really looked into what else you could do, but the pinout's interesting. There's different types of sync available, so people could get creative with the outputs. My favorites recently have been from Humble Bazooka. And I've talked about these on the podcast, but I've never done a video on them because I wanted to talk about it here. But these adapters plug into both of those slots and also covers up the ports, so it makes it really nice. And there's 2 different versions. There's the basic version that's really only meant for the HD Retrovision cables, and you could only use HD Retrovision composite or or S-video at a time. You could technically use S-video and HD Retrovisions at the same time, but whatever. So this is really just a cost savings for people that only want component video out via HD Retrovision. However, Humble Bazooka also makes the amped version of this adapter, and that allows you to use everything and even at the same time. So you could use RGB via a Genesis 2 connector or HD Retrovisions, and at the or anything with a Genesis 2 connector, really. So Rad2X, whatever else. Those garbage scalers that I hate, those the pound cable style things, you could actually use that here for streaming, which is actually a pretty decent, cheap streaming solution, and then just use S-video or composite video for whatever display you're using, and you could use all of these at the same time completely safely. And then the last adapter they have is the one that I will be using today. I probably should have had that unplugged and ready to go. This is the amped Jag AOA Plus. What is the Plus? It is the link adapter to it, which is ridiculous. James, would you want to give a little bit of an overview of what exactly the link adapter does and what games support it, and how your game drive works with it?
Yeah, I was going to say this is a version which actually works with the game drive, I believe, because one of the issues which I wasn't, there we go, it'll switch, which I wasn't aware of until after shipping, because I never, used any network game stuff, was that the serial connection which I used to communicate with the cards, the Jaguar is a bit odd in that a lot of the signals which go to one port also go to another. So a lot of the link signals actually go to the cartridge port as well. So I ended up using that for just sort of communications with the cartridge as well. And yeah, I wasn't aware that that basically blocked the network access stuff. I mean, there's about one game really, well, that's not two, but probably two games which are worth looking at with Air Cars and Doom for the network stuff. Um, but and also the serial controller on the Jaguar, another problem, doesn't work. It keeps hanging. So there's just lots of issues with the serial stuff. But what the JagLink basically is yeah, a serial connection. I'm pretty sure there was a way you could connect it up to the links as well, because the Comlink setup was fairly similar. Um, there we go. So I think the original idea was that you could kind of use the links as a separate graphical interface to Jaguar games, but yeah, that never happened.
Right.
So yeah, it's kind of like a mini local area network. I think you could have up to like 15 Jaguars linked up for crazy multiplayer Doom and air cars and so on. But that was, I think, about all that really supported it. And similarly, through the same connection, you had, I think it was Ultra Vortex, I think, had a dial-up mode. And so you could actually plug in the modem, which was one. I don't know quite how widespread that was, or even whether it didn't come out and the code in Ultra Vortex is only for kind of prototype stuff. But anyway, there was a dial-up solution as well, which plugged into the DSP port as well. So it was quite a lot of weird stuff available for it.
Very, very cool. So this is my favorite, and respectfully, I don't think I'm ever going to use these link ports, but I just think this is the coolest adapter. I just love knowing that I have it, and just if you end up buying this one and you use it with a game drive, leave it off at all times, and then whenever you go to play a multiplayer game, boot into the game, and then just flick the switch after the game's been booted, and that's it. That's all you have to do.
Yeah,
it's totally safe to do with it powered on. So, and how we're going to be streaming this, which we're going to be showing some more accessories. So, but when we do end up streaming it, I'm going to be using S-Video on my 20L5 monitor here, and using RGB SCAR output via a shielded cable through the RetroTink 5X for the stream. So this is exactly the type of thing that I recommend people use that AOA adapter for. And once again, I do strongly recommend getting at least just the amped version, unless you really know for a fact you're only going to be using HD Retrovision cables. And if somebody could tell me how to do giveaways during live streams, I will give away the HD Retrovision version of this adapter here on stream later on if you would like.
Nice.
So the next accessory I want to talk about. Some doofus over in England spent an insane amount of time allowing you to play all of the different Jaguar and Jag CD games all on one cartridge. That would be James, the gentleman with us right here.
Yeah, that took far too long to do. I can't remember how long it was. I think it's about 4 years in the making in total. It's a bit crazy.
So we did an interview a while back where we discussed the history of this in depth. So just in respect of people's time, I would recommend listening to that elsewhere. But could you please give us an overview of what this does and the options? And I will be your Vanna White and move this around and show whatever options that you're talking about.
Yeah, so I mean, essentially it was any time I do one of these sort of cartridges, my main goal is to run all of the commercial stuff available at the time. That's my baseline, and then sort of add whatever else I can. This was, I think, about the third cartridge I did. So, I mean, I've been gradually growing in experience with this stuff. This hardware was never my main job, as it were. So, yeah, the Jag GD basically plays all of the commercial ROM stuff, and then a bit later on, I added support for CD games, which is still in kind of beta, I would say. Most of the games run to some degree or other. I'm not sure whether any run absolutely completely, on the basis I've never played Jag CD games that much. I play quite a lot of Dragon's Lair.
Well, we'll definitely be playing them today, that's for sure.
Yeah, we'll see then. But yeah, so it's, it plays CD games to a reasonably good degree. I'm going to revisit that before too long. We've got the USB port as well for developers. That was one of the other things, which was something I always try and include, is an easy way for people to upload code and run it.
And
So
this is essentially the main use for this is if you're a developer that's constantly testing things, rather than recompile, take out your micro SD, load
yeah,
it up, you basically just send it directly, the ROM directly from your PC to this, just so
yeah.
that you could keep doing it. Does it offer any other options like that, or are there any potential if any developers want to add functionality to it, or is that really just a dev thing for software creation?
Um, at the moment, it's really just for uploading stuff. There's also a communication link which you can use for debugging. There's a virtual serial port on that USB connection as well, so you can actually send serial data down to the PC. I don't think I've got anything receiving. There's no reason why it can't, but it doesn't. So one thing I always had at the back of my mind is you could, in theory, for the one game which supports dial-up, have it such that it basically pipes the dial-up info to another Jaguar wherever you like across the internet. So in theory, you could play multiplayer internet connected Ultra Vortex, I think it is. But that's probably about the only other use for it.
Hmm. It is impossible to get on this stream, but these are properly beveled edges.
Yep.
The chamfer is small, but it's there, and they are all running at the correct voltage, and every revision of this has been running at the correct voltage. So
Yep.
just
Yeah.
wanted to put people's minds at ease on that one.
It was a bit of a fiasco at one point, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. It's getting people to believe the Earth is round. I now truly
Yeah.
understand what people went through back in the day. Except we don't get burned at the stake for saying that you need beveled edges and good voltage. So it's at least some progress in human civilization here. The next thing I would like to show is a controller I've had for a long time. This is a standard Jaguar controller, but this one is modded by Nick Persane to have a spinner for Tempest, which we will definitely be playing.
That's cool.
You flip the switch on the bottom. I'm not sure if it's showing up on stream. Yeah, so plus and circle, so you could switch between which mode that you want it. The other thing that he offered that I used to have is where it's a no-cut mod, so there's no switch like this, and Nick removed the D-pad and put this spinner on the D-pad, and I loved that one. I'm holding on to this one personally because this is just the one that I'm going to keep in hopes that Mick is kind enough to build a Damon Byte adapter for this for whenever there's a Mr. Core released, so I will be holding on to this one, but the I will have one of these made for a friend of mine, the person who owns this, with the spinner here. And I actually found that holding it this way, and I'm right-handed, so maybe that is a thing, but pressing the buttons with my left thumb and spinning the controller here was super, super comfortable. Like, probably one of the most comfortable situations I could imagine a Jaguar controller. Have you played with the Tempest spinner?
I don't think I've ever played on the spinner, sadly. I
Oh.
really like Tempest 2000. I mean, well, as with most people, I think it's probably the best game on the console, really, apart from Doom. But yeah, it's something I need to do.
Yeah, well, we're definitely going to open with that one. This next is a homebrew controller that is pretty much discernible from the original, but it has shoulder buttons, which are basically some of these number buttons remapped up here. And it also has a 6-button style layout, which once again I think is just some of these buttons remapped up here as well. This is pretty interesting. My friend Genovi did a video that was reviewing this that I think is the perfect video for somebody that really wants to understand if this is worth it for you. But I think it's neat. We will be using this one to play one of the worst racing games I've ever played, Atari Karts. Second worst racing game. That's the first right there. But I think it's pretty neat. And if you're looking for a brand new Atari Jaguar controller, you might want to look into this because you get to support homebrew. It's excellent condition. I mean, it feels very, very, very close to the original. Have you had a chance to use these?
No, I haven't got one of those. That's something else I need to get hold of.
Yeah, you absolutely do. And coincidentally enough, there are 2 other brand new controllers that I found last year that are new old stock. I was told that different model revisions have slightly different D-pads and different buttons, so I would like to try them both today. You could see like this one has black number buttons here,
Yep.
and this one has the same gray number buttons as the other one. So whichever one has the worst D-pad, or if they're the same, I'll take the gray button one, and that's the one I'm going to have Nick add the spinner controller for my friend, and have him just ship that over directly. So the new old stock ones you could sometimes find, but unfortunately, new old stock isn't always new old stock. You never really know what you're getting. So that's I got very lucky. In fact, when I tweeted about getting these in a new old stock Genesis controller, most of the replies were like, "That's fake." It wasn't. Both were real. So, and the last thing that I want to show before we get started. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to show your manual that came with it. Do the math. 64-bit. That was very cool. The last thing that I wanted to show are these controller inserts, and these were made by the manufacturer for certain games, not all, that allow you to do an overlay to tell you what each of these buttons do. I'm going to get closer so everybody can see it. You're going to give me a moment to focus here. So this allows you to see what these extra buttons at the bottom actually do. And I think they're really neat. I think this actually very much added to the controller. And not many games really took advantage of it. And you could find the originals. However, there's somebody on Atari Age who makes their own. And my genuine and heartfelt apologies, I forgot their name. But after this stream is over, I will absolutely look up the exact thread in which I purchased these. And these are brand new. So let me get myself some scissors. And these are made by the community for that exact reason. So I'm going to open these up, and we'll take a look at a couple of them. Let me, so, trying to get it perfectly, and let me get it close so we could get this. There we go. So this is, you could immediately see here why this would be helpful. You could kind of just, and has them for multiple. So I won't go through all of them, but I will flip through a few of these because I just think it's a really neat thing to have.
Oh, it's cool. Are they like, you know, half mil thick plastic type stuff? Like
they're thick plastic.
Yep.
And glossy, so it's a slightly different material. Let me try real quick to find Blue Lightning so I could compare it to the original. Like Total Carnage, that's kind of helpful because you could just reference the arrows real quick for fire direction. But hopefully there's Blue Lightning in here so I could go side by side with the original. A placeholder for when you don't have any game that needs it, or if you just want to keep it in. That's kind of neat. I like that. The originals did have bulges over the button, yes. They were in alphabetical order, and I just grabbed them in the wrong order. Of course I did. But, so, you have the original right here, and this newer one. So they match pretty closely. But you can see the original has the buttons that kind of, they're embossed out, whereas these are completely flat. So how do they feel? Well, here's the homebrew one. Not bad at all. You could definitely feel the button underneath it. The original, you do feel the bump. So it is actually a little easier. Now, there have different people who have made these over the years, and the ones that I just showed were very affordable. I forgot the exact price of them, but it was absolutely worth the money. It was not overpriced. There were ones a couple years ago by kind of a notorious seller, if you will, that were extremely expensive, but they did have the little bumps on them. So it was really up to you to decide if that's something that you wanted. So let me grab the one for Tempest, and maybe we could start out with that game. And let's hope that the Jaguar starts. Trevor, is there one for Tempest? I can't find one. Does it? I think the person who made these was able to make ones for games that didn't even have them. So maybe it's here, maybe it's not. It could be that game didn't actually use any extra buttons, so that's why there was none made for it.
Yeah, I think Cybermorph and Tempest 2000 were probably the only two games I had on my Jaguar, I think, back in the day.
Okay, well, you know what then? Just for aesthetics, there we go. That's what I'm going to leave in when I play Tempest. So you get that in a little bit better focus. So it's a neat little cover for the buttons. So let's power this on. I'm setting the controller to the plus mode. And I'm also very interested to see if I'm going to need my handy little adapter. But we'll see in a second. Whoa, it booted. Okay. So, let me switch this over here. All right. Cart connection fault.
Have you seen that one before?
No, never.
There we go. See, turn off, take it out, put it back in again, turn it on. It's to boot the cartridge, it only needs 16 bits of the data bus, but yeah, 32 to run games. So it just lets you know if you try and run a game, it's not going to work, basically.
Okay, let me go down here. Tempest 2000. Wow, that's loading quick. Did you speed up the loading time in this latest firmware?
No, nothing's changed on that. Well, I don't think it has anyway. I did a fair bit of tweaking, but not in the very latest one. That's only been homebrew stuff.
Ah, okay. And it looks fine on stream so far. Okay. So, if I remember this correctly, it's been a couple of years since I've played this. So, Tempest 2000. And then we go... Where are the options menu?
The options in there? Yeah, you have to turn on the spinner stuff, don't you?
I do, yes. Alright, we're going to have to reload it, because I think I was supposed to hit the option button at the title screen.
You can hit hash and star at the same time to get back to the title screen on pretty much every game, I think. So you don't need to...
And to load the last loaded game on the game drive, is there a button for that?
No, that's something I need to add. Funnily enough, I've got it automatically highlights the last game you were using on every other bloody cart I've done now. I've updated it to that, but I haven't updated the Jag in a while, so that's something I need to add.
Am I centered on camera? I kind of have to see. All right, yeah.
And a little bit off to one side. It's difficult when you have to turn around to see. There you go.
All right, cool. That was a lucky hop, if you will. Yeah. All right, so I'm going to hit option now. Let's see if that does it. Where are we? Option. Here we go. Control setup.
Oh, there's a secret thing, isn't there?
So you need a second controller, or
I can't remember.
One of these. I basically just took a D sub connector, a VGA head, and I jumped two wires together, which are the same connections that would be made. So now I'm going to plug that in. I'm going to hit option again. And nope, that wasn't it.
There was, yeah, I vaguely remember there's a key combo to get the spinner up. So like.
Oh man, this is embarrassing. I wrote this instruction on my webpage. I should have known this. Display setup, control setup. Option. Nope.
Yeah, it's been so long since I've done this.
All I had to do was hit pause at this menu.
There we go.
With that dongle plugged in.
Yep.
And then
so I remember it was something which didn't kind of end up going into it officially, if you like. And so it was hidden.
So exit. And now, once I've selected rotary controller, I could take this off. So I love this. I'm pretty sure I put the stupid little schematic as if I designed something. It's a one-wire jumper in something you get for $1 on DigiKey, but I have that up there for anybody who's interested. So now that I've booted, I'm going to just flip the switch and use the spinner. I think I'm going to use it this way. So I'm holding it like this. Please let me know, too, is the music coming through okay? Does the music need to be louder, quieter? If you wouldn't mind checking the chat for me, please, James, because it is kind of hard for me to spin around for this. I didn't want the music to come out blaring, which is why I kept it low, but this is a pretty good soundtrack.
No music, apparently.
No music. Okay. Pause. And let's try turning that up. And, okay, I'm hearing it now a little bit. So, when I first met Nick, the person who does these spinner controllers, and there's a few other people out there, no disrespect to them, I just don't know them, so I can't shout out somebody's name you don't know, no disrespect at all meant, but when I first met Nick, I really wasn't sure what this was all about, and I didn't know that I didn't really realize I needed it, but Cousin Scott was basically like, you have to get the rotary controller. You're an idiot if you don't. That's the only way to play Tempest. So I did. I bought one of them, and when it got here, I played for a little bit, and I said, all right, well, this is neat. I like this. This is better than I expected. And I looked at the clock, and like an hour had gone by. I thought I'd been playing for like 5 minutes. I got really sucked in, and it completely changes the whole experience of the game, because you're moving the spinner exactly where this is. And there's a little click in the spinner. Like I could feel it, thump, 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 and it matches exactly what's on screen.
Volume's still a little bit low, by the way, apparently.
I'll turn it up a little more. That's as loud as it goes, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's one of the kind of big things about the arcade stuff for me growing up, was always the innovations in like inputs and everything else that went with it, not just the game. So yeah, it makes a big difference having like the spinner and stuff like that.
Yeah, even stuff like Marble Madness. Like I always played it on the NES with a D-pad, and then I saw it in an arcade for the first time ever just a few years ago. It was so much better an experience.
Yeah, it just makes it completely different.
I'm trying to find the most comfortable way to hold this controller. Maybe I'd use my left hand? Let's see how this will work. I'm also getting used to playing this again, so while I would never say I'm great at this game, I'm going to be a little bit better than this. Just need a moment to adjust.
I remember as soon as you get a jump, you spend most of your time not touching the web, and then just sort of spinning around and firing your particle cannon, I think you get, is the zapper upgrade. This is one of those games I played a lot.
Yeah, I'm right-handed, so it is definitely easier for me to do this.
Yeah, I had my Jaguar hooked up to my stereo system in my bedroom, so I used to have this playing quite loud. It's very good music, really, for mod music. It's actually one of those weird instances where the Jaguar actually had really good music. I mean, you've obviously got a very specific sound from stuff like the Genesis and so on. But the kind of flexibility you get with the DSP, and being able to kind of do some really high channel mods and so on. They did a really good job.
Yeah, this was Jeff Minter.
Yeah.
He also created the original Tempest. He did a version for the PlayStation that I hear is good, but I hear the music on the PlayStation one was a little bit better, but doesn't quite have spinner support. I was always trying to bug Nick to see if he could somehow add that. And I think there's a few other small differences, but I definitely love this version. I think the most important thing for the upcoming Jaguar Mr. Core is, and I know this maybe is selfish, but I think many people would agree that support for a rotary controller of any kind. So even if they don't add support for Nick's mod specifically, having support for any rotary, just like with Arkanoid or whatever else, that, you know, just a USB-based one, I think that's going to be essential, because this game is by far my favorite on the platform, and I know it's a bunch of other people's as well. So supporting the best game on the platform is something that I think most developers would really want to make sure that they did.
Yeah. I can't remember who's it. Trent? Trent? I don't remember if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Who's doing the Jaguar core on the Mister?
Yeah, so she already worked on it. In fact, I talked to her. That's why I was late starting out. I was talking to her just to verify the status of it at the moment. And
okay.
she said it's not quite ready. You can definitely download it and test it if you want, but it's not part of the main update, and it's not something that's really advertised because of the state that it's in. And also, in order to get the most out of it at the moment, you need dual RAM. So
Right.
they're going to be taking a look. I think a few different of the top developers said that they were going to take a look and see if they could assist and kind of add some of the tweaking to it. But that's going to be a little bit in the future. So
Cool.
at the moment, you can use dual RAM sticks and you can play a bunch of games, but it's not nearly as robust of a core as all the other ones on there. So
you're getting an authentic experience then.
I told her, forget about the rest. Just get Tempest working with the spinner controller and then release that. And funny enough, she took a look at that and said in order to do that in its current state, you would still need dual RAM. So, or I think you could use it without the music, but the music's awesome.
Yeah.
So I'll play this a little bit longer because I know it's, I don't want to bore people with the same game, and I could absolutely get sucked into this for a while. So maybe when I get my next game over, I'll switch, but this really is awesome.
No, Alex just said, yeah, backport from the Netlist. Oh, that was the original version, well, the original Jaguar emulator, wasn't it? That was Torless, I think. Managed to basically create a very long version of the Netlist for the actual released Jaguar hardware, because it was found on one of the hard drives. But for whatever reason, I thought they weren't using that. So I think Electron Ash was looking at getting that running, that original Torless code on Mister, and was just having endless issues with it. Because I remember seeing the Jaguar running that version running on something like Altera D1 or something along those lines, quite an old dev kit with Tempest 2000 running. So yeah, I'm not quite sure with the state of play whether Katrinks effectively did a new version of everything, or use subsets of what was available already or what, to be honest. But I know there have been issues.
It's funny, I've heard of a few people getting rid of their consoles after their favorite console was added to Mister, but I've heard of more people going out and getting the original after experiencing it, because they'd only played a laggy software emulation solution before. They'd never played something that's very accurate to the original, and it piqued their interest. I also know people that do the same thing, plug everything in, make sure it works, and then put the console on the shelf to display it and still use their Mister. Which, there's no wrong way to do it.
Yeah, something I like about the hardware, I mean, that's kind of, I've got a shelf full of stuff next to me, is, it's kind of the industrial design of the case and all that sort of stuff is, a big thing for me, as well as, probably more so than the games almost with many machines.
All right, so this is going to be put away. Maybe I'll send this one to my friend as well, and I'll just I'll hold on to a controller and talk to Nick, see if he has any new designs or something like that. I'll set it back to plus mode, so nobody. And of course, I'll include my little Tempest dongle. One of the things I've noticed that both on the original cart and on the game drive, after you've set it once, you don't need to use this anymore.
Yep.
You could, of course, just plug a second controller in and hold pause on both or something, but this takes care of that for you. So.
Right. Yeah, it's saved in the EEPROM, so once you've set it once, then it persists. But the only problem with that is if you boot into the game and try and play it with a normal controller, when you've got it in spinner mode, it doesn't work properly. Because I've had people contacting me saying, "Oh, the game doesn't work," and then we figured out that they've got it set in spinner mode and they're trying to use it with a pad. So
Ah, gotcha. So I just unboxed for the first time since I was, I don't know, 11, 12 years old or something, a brand new Atari Jaguar controller. This is the one with the black buttons. And I think there's one game that we should play next. Let me plug this in and then get the overlay for it, just so we could have the full, true experience. But I think this is something else that everybody who's interested in the Jaguar is going to need to figure out at least one point in their lives. Okay. Got my controller overlay ready. So, when I was about 11, I lived with my uncle and my cousins, and my uncle was into investing in stocks, and he got really into the Atari Jaguar, or into Atari, and my asshole little 11-year-old self did the whole argument of it's not really a 64-bit console, the thing's gonna bomb, and he invested in it anyway, and it bombed. Jaguar bombed, even the Atari stock bombed. And he got us one for the holidays just as a joke about it. And my cousin and I unboxed it, and we were so excited. I think we played Cybermorph or Checkered Flag first, and we thought, well, look at these polygons, it's 64-bit. This is gonna be like if Star Fox was on a 64-bit console. And you're about to see the same thing that we saw. It is not very impressive.
Even the ship, kind of polygon-wise, isn't kind of massively higher detail than the Star Fox stuff. The only kind of big advantage, if you like, on the Jaguar was the Z buffer. But the draw distance is pretty low. So
I have the controller overlay on there. Make things.
Where did you learn to fly?
Yes, get used to hearing that quite a bit. But yeah. Do you even remember what you're supposed to do? I'm supposed to go back to where the target is on the screen in the upper right.
Yeah, there's a few kind of bases I think you have to destroy, aren't there? I think they look like spikes or something. What was that? No, I might be mixing it up. The actual bits and Tempest.
I see an enemy keeps crossing my path. I could look at my rear view mirror. That's what some of the buttons on the bottom do. I was just switching views. That is actually kind of neat. Right view, cockpit view, forward view. Oh, okay, that's easier. That's the toggle. No music at all.
Good work.
Was there none in game? It shows how long since I played it.
Yeah, this is terrible. Let me reset and see if I can try another level. 94, so I would have been 13 when this came out. Okay.
I think I played this quite a lot as well. One of those things where if it's the only game you've got, you tend to play it.
Yeah.
Good luck.
So speed up is A, and slow down is C, and shoots in the middle. So it's a little...
Well done.
It's kind of odd to get used to.
Although this game did give us the amazing where do you learn to fly head, of course.
Yeah.
It's appeared in many things. So.
I have to turn my brightness up here. The game is... there's no draw distance. I didn't even see that plane until it was right in front of me. So... Yeah, I'm going to have to call it and say that was the Cybermorph experience. That was exactly what everybody played when they first got this thing, and it is terrible. But let's, I think you gave me a patch for Checkered Flag in here. The linear steering. There we go. I'd like to try that one too, because this is the one that my cousin and I was like, oh no, look at this. This is going to be like Virtua Racing with 64 bits. Yeah, just wait and see. And this is the patched version we're going to play. Ooh. Ooh, okay. Let me try that again. I don't know if it's a bad patch or if it's the cartridge.
As well as the patch, it needs like a universal header on it. I definitely did give you one which worked. I remember playing it, and it's an improvement.
Checkered flag. Well, we can play the original, but let me would I put it under homebrew or would I have? I guess let me try the original, because I wouldn't have played that game for very long anyway. There are some decent ones. I just want to get some of the rip the Band-Aid off here, if you will.
Yeah, this is actually, I think the main programmer on this was a guy I used to work with. I didn't know he'd written it until after I'd finished working with him. But that's quite weird. That's Rob Dibley, who's the lead on this, and also Highlander as well.
Oh yeah. Trying to figure out. Oh, I guess that's the button that makes you go.
I remember the steering being really, twitchy.
Oh my god, this is horrible. And the frame rate is worse than Virtua Racing on the Genesis. What's this, 5-6 frames a second?
The draw distance is slightly better than Cybermore, so.
Yeah, that's true. We have a cloud and music. There's music. This is so bad. This is terrible. Do you have the ability to send me the ROM now just so we can give it a shot, or is that buried in your thing? I'm gonna look to see if there's
God, I'll have a quick look and see if I can find it. Anywhere obvious.
No, I don't have one here for Checkered Flag. Nah, too bad. Yeah, that is terrible. That is absolutely terrible. Let me load the game. I'll try loading the game I have now one more time just because. So, it is the Jaguar. It could just, work the second time.
Yeah, I've got to check a flag. Oh, control patch. Okay, I might have it. You figure out where I can drop it.
Should be right in Discord.
Okay.
No, okay.
There you go, you can give that one a bash.
Alright.
That would have been the one I got working, I'm guessing.
Me, I'm caught. Hold on. Well, I'm glad I didn't just fall over and spin all that around. That would have been pretty funny for the stream, but okay. Let me plug this in. Okay. I had so many different versions of this. I bet you I have the right one somewhere on my hard drive.
Yeah.
All right. Eject. Beautiful. Somebody was asking about different games. I think I have all of them on here. So if there's one specifically you want to see, just allow me another moment or two to play the games that I really just want to have one fun experience with, and then I'll go back and start playing anything anybody else would like as well. And of course, you too, James. Anything you want me to play or talk about or anything?
Yeah, I quite liked Alien vs Predator. That's another game I played a hell of a lot. And that was one of the ones which actually made quite good use of the Jaguar. I remember that being, well, at the time, it seemed really impressive.
control patch. Here we go.
It's looking better.
All right, that's all good signs.
I remember this being a lot more playable, but it's still what it is. So.
I mean, it already feels better.
Yeah.
It's still like 5 frames a second. Oh, I could steer without smashing into a wall. Oh, look at that.
It's still not the best, but at least it's playable, sort of.
I mean, I've already gotten farther than I did to start. I already crashed lists. It's still pretty bad, though.
Yeah, one of the things that would be really nice to reverse engineer into stuff like this, just for the sake of it, is analog controller input, because there is the God, I can't remember who is it. Humble Bazooka, I think it might be. It's got the controller adapter thing for the Jag, so you can use PlayStation pads and so on.
Yeah.
And that supports the Atari's standard for multiple axis input. So it should actually support the analog sticks, as I think they had in mind basically a motion controller for the VR headset. And it allows you to have multiple analog channels. So in theory, you could use the analog stuff on the Jag and actually have analog steering or stuff like this, which would be interesting.
Yeah, I can't get over the frame rate.
Yeah,
I can't.
Not sure how much better the frame rate was on Iron Soldier and stuff like that. I mean, we're talking, very early Jag games, and then Iron Soldier was kind of one of the last done by the sort of legendary Thalion programmers. So it was a big improvement tech-wise, but there's only so much you can get out of a Jaguar.
So this is another game that we got when we got it as a gift, and I was so excited because, like, how many times in your life have you interacted with anything with the Bruce Lee name on it that sucked? So, I guess I'll just start with the story game and see what happens here. Are there special moves? Probably not.
I mean, in theory, this kind of thing, the Jaguar does quite well. I mean, it looks like it's running at, 60 frames a second, although the sprites seem quite jerky. But it's got the same, kind of parallax effect on the floor as
Oh yeah,
Street Fighter 2 and so on. So I mean, it's not too bad. Just looks a little bit ropey. But I guess for the era, graphically, it wasn't too bad.
I mean, these are long matches. I'm not going to play this much longer. The disappointment, right? I thought this was going to be the Jaguar's version of Mortal Kombat or something. Because look, it's a fighting game on a 64-bit console.
Yeah, that was one of the big problems. It never really seemed to do anything better than the SNES and the Mega Drive. And you're paying a lot more when it's supposed to be so much more. So, yeah.
Yeah, what an unbelievable disappointment. Okay, so the last one that I'm going to play just to have that experience. I'm going to grab the 6-button controller. We're going to play some Atari carts. And then we'll get to the stuff that's actually worth seeing. Although I do genuinely think seeing this side of it's worth it as well. Just, to now go back and only play the good games, you might get a false sense of this underdog console that not many people liked. I think you have to understand exactly how terrible this was because everybody had their hopes up. So if you got this, and you were like me and you got those games, Battle Morph, Checkered Flag, and Bruce Lee, I mean, what a letdown, right? you didn't get to go to the store and return them, or you didn't get to, like, that was it. You were stuck with those. But if you got some of the other games, then you might have had a really great experience. But most people ended up with the bad ones.
I think Atari Cards is another one of those ones where it was kind of technically quite nice, as in it was running at a decent frame rate and all that sort of thing, but the game just really wasn't there.
Into the Tempest Cup. I don't even know what that means.
I take it that's a harder one. It's one of those things again where, I mean, it doesn't look too bad, and the frame rate is, I think, running at 60, but again, it's no better than the SNES. Yeah.
So one cool thing that this controller is doing is the triggers act as sharp left and sharp right. Wouldn't let me cut, huh? Oh, and I can't even go back.
I think can you hold C down?
C,
we're going backwards then.
C and back, or just
sure,
backwards makes me go back. Okay.
There we go. Not obvious.
All right. Well, let me start up another race real quick and play it for real, not just explain the controller. But I already like the D-pad better than the one with the black buttons. And the triggers are neat for this game.
Yeah, I think they act as 4 and 6. Those two.
Same as those.
Mm.
At least there's music in this game.
Yeah, I remember it being all right. I think I can't hear it at the minute, so I can't comment.
Oh, won't let me cut across at all, and now I'm stuck in the side. Oh, what a horrible hit detection.
Yeah, and that's where it really kind of gets let down on the gameplay side with that sort of thing.
I don't understand how I just spun out. So if you go sharp left or sharp right too much, it spins you out?
Right.
And somehow I'm in second place. Or first place.
This did 2-player split screen as well, as I remember.
Yeah, alright, I'm done. So, good games on the console. Now that you've experienced what most kids in the 90s who got one of these went through, let's look at the hidden gems, if you will. What would you like to start with, James?
Let's have a look at AVP. I quite enjoyed AVP back in the day. Frame rate's not great, but I remember it having really high-res graphics. Dungeon Master was always one of my favourite games on the ST. And I would have played Wolfenstein on the PC a lot at this point, and this was just so much better than that. Can't think whether I would have had played Doom much at the time. I think I probably had a really crap PC, so questionable. This may have been like the first almost decent first-person style game I played. So reasonably positive memories of this. I haven't played it in a while though, so we'll see.
Who should we play as, Alien or the Predator?
Go with the Predator, I reckon. You can look at the different...
And Actually,
night vision type modes as well. On that.
and
Yeah,
there are
okay.
different overlays for the alien and for the predator and for the marine. Okay, so I have this proper overlay here.
I think it was the Predator that had multiple kind of vision modes. I think I had a heat type one and stuff like that.
I believe so. Well, I'll take a look at those as soon as the game starts. That is pretty
That was
cool.
interesting.
All right.
I mean, that's kind of interesting as well. I mean, it's decompressing stuff from the cartridge into main memory to, well, keep it on a smaller cart for cost reasons. But it's interesting how some of the games worked. A to open, is it?
Yeah, I was really just kind of looking at the map, trying to look at what the different buttons did here. But yep, A to open. I mean, you also have to understand when you're watching this that this is what, 94?
Yeah.
So for 94, this is awesome.
Yep.
Close other airlock door first.
I remember this being properly scary at the time. Admittedly, I probably would have been about 13 or something. But yeah, I remember it being really quite enjoyable, although quite hard. Only because I was playing this testing JagTD, and I really couldn't get very far at all. It hasn't quite got the immediacy of stuff like Doom and Wolfenstein of shooting people, and yeah, it takes a while to kill with your fist.
Do I get to pick up weapons?
I really can't remember. You'd have thought you could as a Predator. I think there's weapon switch on the D-pad if you have.
Option.
On the controller, yeah. On the controller. Oh, there we go. So you got the different
Oh, the
vision
different
mode.
vision. Yeah.
To be fair, I'm pretty sure all it does is change the palette.
Yeah.
But it was kind of cool.
But look in the distance, right? You could kind of see, you could see the walls a little easier in heat sinking mode.
Yep.
Oh, but you
Yep,
can't
that's
walk
true.
around with it, or you?
I
Oh no, you can. I was just stuck in a doorway. All right.
Yeah, so it's interesting.
It is kind of hard to kill people. It's just your. I mean, if this was the movie, that guy would have been dead in the first swipe. And he's just standing still as I'm swiping at him. There we go. I think I'd like to go back and try again as the alien.
Yeah, I remember they're all quite different in terms of how they play. I think the alien, I can't remember whether you can get straight into the, or is it the other way around? As the Marines, you can't get into the Predator or alien ship or anything. You have to do a hell of a lot first. And yeah, so it all plays a bit different, which was quite nice for replay.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm teasing it a little bit, but this game was excellent for its time. And I think there were a few other versions of it as well, right? Wasn't there a PC version that supposedly did pretty well?
Yeah, I don't know if there were any, which were the same style. So I know there's been lots of Alien vs Predator stuff, which Rebellion have done. But yeah, quite how much was kind of the same as this, I don't know.
So this is, sorry, it's kind of hard to get this in focus and in front of the camera. And all right, here we go. So there's really only left and right in the map on this one. It's a very nice overlay. Don't get me wrong on that one. But so I think that might mean the trigger buttons. Does that mean I'm going to be able to go left and right with the triggers? No. No.
No, that is striking, isn't it?
No.
Or is that
that would
I'm
be
pretty sure there is a strafe. Let's just hold down A.
Z and X, or also left and right here. An option doesn't do anything like it did last time. I think I have the map on. All right. So I still have to depressurize this, right?
I would imagine.
Okay.
I suppose weirdly, it wasn't all that long ago at this time that we had stuff like the Spectrum and CPC as our kind of main computers. This was obviously a space of time which was massively rapid in terms of advancement in tech and so on. So, yeah, I suppose I would have come from an ST, or still had an ST, when I had the Jaguar. So it was a big step in that respect. I never had a SNES or Megatron.
I think that was just where I was. I think I just went back into the airlock. Oops.
Yeah, so somebody said in the chat you can use your mouth attack, I think it is, to kind of infect the Marines, and then they turn into like cocoons.
Oh, I'm gonna try that.
That sounds familiar.
Why am I lost? I was just in the same spot. I'm sorry. First-person shooters like this, I get motion sick. I think it's the low frame rate.
Yeah.
So let me try go straight ahead here. Am I going in a loop or something?
I haven't got a clue. There is the map. I think you can you have it up? Oh, there we go. You can have it up whilst you're moving, which is handy.
Oh, it's a different airlock I'm going through, I think, right?
Yeah, I think it'll be a different area.
Oh, all right. That makes sense. It's funny because the button that I was using to close and open the door is also one of the two attacks in this.
Yep.
Interesting. Okay. Let's see what we got here. Well, this is creepy.
This is on the alien ship, I'm guessing.
Okay, he died a lot quicker. That's interesting.
There's a version of AVP on the Lynx as well. I think that was Rebellion who did that prototype.
Huh.
I'm not sure whether it was ever supposed to be played link up or anything, or whether it was just purely a prototype which never went anywhere. I always find the biggest problem with these games of this era is you don't know where you're going.
No clue.
A lot of the time. At least it's got a heads-up map which you can look at whilst you're moving around, which is quite neat. I've got a vague memory with Doom. You either had the map or the game, and randomly die.
Well, I think that's an excellent game, but I was getting a little motion sick. So let me. I also want to try the other controller. The one thing I noticed is that the controller cable was much thicker on the first one that I used, and on the 6 button than it was with the other one that I just had with the black buttons on it. So that's not a thing. I'm not trying to say a thicker cable makes for a better controller. It's just observation if anybody was wondering the differences. I'll keep the bags with the controllers. I like to put them back exactly the way I found them, so whoever gets them next has the feeling that they're opening something new. And I mean, it's as close to new as possible. It's going to have, 15 minutes worth of play on each of these, so... Okay. So one game, and I'll start taking requests in a second, but one game that I was always impressed with was Rayman.
Yeah.
Have you played that one?
That was supposed to be the Jaguar exclusive, wasn't it, Rayman, originally? But that didn't last too long, I don't think. But yeah, really nice. Very pretty game. It was reasonably playable as platformers go, I think. I'm not a platform guy, so yeah, I'm rubbish at that sort of thing.
Alright, Soldier, I'm just checking to make sure there isn't an overlay for it. No. Okay. So I have been bugging John Linneman for years to do a comparison of this, and he kind of sort of did in the PlayStation launch video, where he compared all of the launch titles to their alternatives. So he did get into Rayman a little bit, but I think I might not be in the majority in this, but I would love to see that footage cut together with some whatever extra B-roll he has and a full-length video on which original version of Rayman really was the best. And I think his conclusion was that each one had certain aspects about it that were neat. So there were versions that you could say were better than others, but not like, not like, holy crap, don't ever play this version. I think they were all pretty cool that stood on their own. I also believe this is a very hard platformer, because I've never really gotten past the second level. But I mean, the graphics are beautiful, the colors are nice.
Yeah, it was a really nice looking game at the time. This was something I don't think the SNES and Mega Drive could perhaps quite do, maybe. Certainly kind of technically. I mean, you have some lovely stuff on those machines like Donkey Kong Country, and a bit less knowledgeable on the Mega Drive, but there's a lot of nice stuff. But this really does look quite nice.
I mean, imagine if this was the pack-in title.
Yep.
I don't think they would have, because they were trying to really push, the next generation look and feel of stuff like this. But
yeah, I think there are quite a lot of games there's been a hell of a lot of games which just didn't happen on the Jaguar due to Atari just vanishing quite quickly. But it's quite interesting to see things like there was I think it was a Conan beat 'em up video. I think it was just some prototype footage from CES or something, where the ROM's never been found on that one, and that looked really quite good. So it's one of those things where there was loads of potential for 2D games, but the console was never pushed as a 2D platform at all, and as a 3D platform it was quite weak. So yeah, it's quite frustrating. It wasn't quite powerful enough to be what it should have been, but it could have been a very good 2D machine.
So the D-pad on this controller, by the way, and the cable are infinitely better. So I think I'm going to have Nick put the spinner in the one with the black buttons, because that D-pad was mushy and not that great. And luckily I wasn't playing good games with it, so I didn't ruin the experience. But I get to punch now. That's right. I won't play this too much longer. I don't want to sit too long on one game and bore everybody, but this is absolutely a game that I could totally play for a while, and I don't think I would be able to beat it, just because it does get kind of absurdly hard after a little while. But it's one that, worth your time if you have a Jag and you want to just experience the best. And if you don't have a Jag, just play on the PlayStation Core on the Mister. Or if you have a Saturn ODE, there's the Saturn version that's very good.
Yeah, what were those pads? Or who were they made by? The new 6-button ones.
Somebody was originally doing the sale on Atari Age, and I completely forget their name. I would forget my own name. I got a job once where I sat in I shared an office with somebody. His name was Joe, 3 letters, and it took me a month to remember his name, and I'm the worst at that. I don't know why. I used to be in meetings with people where we'd go to the follow-up meeting, and I would remember oh hey, how was your daughter's dance recital? How was softball? I remember all of the details that they talked about, and I would have no idea who anybody's name was.
Yeah, well, Stone Shadow Farm very much the same. I think names are something you obviously can't see or associate with anything else other than having to remember. Not something my mind does. Yeah, I've got a vague memory they were on the Atari Age store, the 6-button controllers.
All right, so how about you call out one more game, and then let's also take requests from the chat. If anybody wouldn't mind, or if James, actually, if you wouldn't mind just kind of watching the chat.
Sure.
The way I have this set up, I can't really see it.
Yeah.
But I guess one more I would want to show is, I guess, Neo Geo. Wow. NBA Jam. And then we'll, take an accounting of the games that people want to see.
Phase Zero was a very good tech demo. That was interesting. The Vauxhall world. Literally just a tech demo, but that was quite impressive for the time. Really quite fast frame rate. Yeah, that was interesting.
I hear a bunch of people, or I see a bunch of people saying Super Burnout. Sure.
What's a Super Burnout?
Of course, Super Chats get priority. I'll play it, whatever is on this ROM cart, if you have it. And there was no NBA Jam overlay. I did check that before. But this game only uses 3 buttons anyway, so. Is it loading? Did it freeze? Anybody? Bueller.
Moving on.
When in doubt, reboot, especially with a Jaguar.
Certainly a game I've played on the Jaguar, so it does work. Pinball Fantasies, yeah, that was quite another good one. But there's probably no better than the Amiga, to be fair. Super Burnout. Is that a super chat? I'm not very up on this.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
FT F the them. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Please let me know how to say your name. I'm the worst at that. Not only can I not remember anybody's names, I can't pronounce anybody's. All right, music's playing this time.
The dog out.
Okay, we'll just count that the Jaguar just farted. That's fine.
Welcome to NBA Jam!
Okay, it's working. That's a good sound.
Tonight's matchup, Bulls versus Bullets.
I remember this being quite good. It's funny that
Here's the tip.
you kind of forget that there are actually a load of good games on the Jag.
Oh, yeah. That's I kind of thought it'd be funny to play some of the bad ones first,
Yeah.
just to get that over with, because now it just looks like we're having fun playing NBA Jam.
Yeah.
Ooh, you little bastard.
Heating up. Kukoc.
Just to be fair, this looks nice. Yeah, it's a decent frame rate. You got the whole parallax and floor thing going on.
Yeah.
That's good.
From downtown.
Oh, no, wrong button.
From downtown. Rejected.
I keep pressing the wrong button because I feel like the controls should be reversed. There we go.
Black fire, white ice. Oh yeah, black.
Wild shot.
White.
Damn
noise.
it.
I can't remember. Something else. Yeah, somebody else mentioned in the chat was an RPG type thing which was in the works. Black ice, white noise, something along those lines. Something I've never looked at. That was again. It was supposed to be very cyberpunky, open world kind of thing. I think there's loads of odd prototypes which never got very far.
Ooh. The computer players are aggressive in this version.
Heating up.
I mean, this looks great. This looks exactly what you would expect an NBA Jam game to look like. Obviously, there are better versions, but there's nothing wrong with this one.
I mean, this was a big franchise at the time, wasn't it? NBA Jam.
Huge, yeah. All right, well, that was an excellent one. Now it's obviously time for Super Burnout. Thank you again for the super chat. Really appreciate that. Is there, while it's loading, I'll see if there is a overlay for it. I'll just flip through real quick. Nope.
Oh yeah, Joe Diego was going to look at a Mr. Call for the Jag as well, wasn't he?
Yeah, I actually just hung out with him the other day. It's the first time I met him in person. Awesome guy.
Yeah. I've chatted to him a bit about the Neo Geo Pocket stuff he's doing. It's very cool.
It's funny that. So the first menu it said press C to start, and in the second menu it said press B to start, which is why I kept going back accidentally.
Yeah, there's a lot of inconsistencies with interface and stuff.
Sorry, I was just pressing all the buttons to see if any of them did anything. No. Alright.
This kind of doesn't look too bad. It's very reminiscent of Hang-On Arcade in pretty much every way.
The frame rate is infinitely better than Checkered Flag, that's for sure. The draw distance, the controls. The controls are a little twitchy.
I think, these type of games where you're literally just moving left and right, they're always difficult to make feel anything other than a bit kludgy. The only reason things like Super Hang-On and all of that sort of thing did okay was because you were sat on a motorbike and leading it around in the arcade.
Yeah, it was always an awesome experience.
Yeah.
Best time. 3 laps to go.
So I guess C doesn't do anything at all. B is throttle and A is brake. Music's decent. Game looks good. It's just as twitchy as every other motorcycle game, so I'm not going to give it a, I'm not going to give it any shit for that. This is another one. If this was one of the launch day games, I would totally, as a kid, have sat there and practiced so I get the controls right. It would have been something nice to look at, to listen to. I mean, this would have completely changed how people viewed the Jag if this was one of the first games you played on it.
Yeah, and that was kind of the problem of trying to push the 3D side of it as being the killer feature, and it really wasn't.
Analog controls would really help this one too, of course. Alright, let me see if I could just try at least another track or something, and then we can move on to another one. Huh. Bug just flew in and landed right on my hand. Well, that's a suicidal kamikaze bug. I gotta pick somebody up from the train station. Sorry, I don't mean to be rude and be on my phone during this. I just want to make sure I get this.
Chat mentioned the Sega Super Scaler technology, which was stuff like Power Drift, wasn't it? That was kind of reminiscent of that stuff. There was I remember seeing a demo of something very similar to Power Drift on the Jag, which didn't come out. It was Mike Beaton, who's the guy, one of the guys behind Alien vs Predator. I met up with him long time ago.
Ready?
But he had Atari Dev Kit with a demo of this racing game on there. And that's another thing the Jaguar was good at, scaling stuff. So the whole Power Drift style super scaler rendering, that's another thing that it could have done well.
You know, I just now remembering. I don't think I put a link to Nick's eBay page in the description. I'm really sorry. I'm gonna have a regular post on RetroRGB about this right after this is over, or maybe tomorrow morning if I have to run out to get somebody from the train too quickly. But I'll make sure to have links of everything we talk about, and I'll go up on Atari Age and I'll figure out where I got the overlays and the 6-button controller. And I should definitely go back and link to Genovi's video about that, because I think that would be very helpful for people who wanted to see the difference. But keep in mind that Genovi's video is talking about the Jaguar controllers with the gray buttons, which I'm playing on right now, which is not bad at all. But the one with the black buttons is very uncomfortable. The D-pad just kind of sucked, which is why I'm happy that I'll be able to repurpose that for a Tempest controller.
How does that feel then? Has it kind of got sharp edges on the D-pad or something? On the other one?
It's mushy.
Ah, okay, maybe.
And the buttons feel more shallow.
Yeah.
Alright, well this game looks great, but I believe it's time to move on to another one. What are the next suggestions? Were there any other super chats? I'm so sorry if I missed any of them.
I think so. Raiden was another one that was requested.
Raiden. Oh, hey, it's Ash. What's up, Ash? Thank you for stopping by. I guess there's a Rev A that's 2 megs, and the original that's 4 megs?
Okay.
I'll do Rev A and see what happens. Yeah, Ash, we were talking about the Jaguar core before, and I would certainly love to see, at the very least, you know, some of the best games supported, but you gotta add spinner support for Tempest. I actually would love to see the original Tempest arcade core added. I think that would be pretty awesome, and I think if there was ever a color vector monitor conversion kit that was easy to buy, I would love to have a dedicated mister just for that. So the Tempest core, maybe Star Wars, maybe Vectrix.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's one machine I'd like to own as a Vectrix. That was actually did some really good stuff back in the day. Just obviously using XY vector monitors rather than the raster stuff. That is quite interesting.
So there's 2 things about the Vectrix that stood out. First, anybody who's a nerd like we are is going to absolutely love it. I mean, just looking at the way the vector graphics are drawn, it's such an impressive thing to behold, especially for the time that it was released. But you're also playing the same game over and over with a different overlay on it. So you have to appreciate it for what it was for the time. You can't really compare it.
The newer Vectrex stuff.
The homebrew, you mean?
Yeah, there was some really quite interesting looking stuff on that. That's one machine I keep looking at and never kind of managed to get around to getting one. But yeah, interesting bit of hardware. Somebody mentioning Bubsy in the chat. I remember that being really...
Bubsy. Is that freaking Audie? Is Audie in the stream telling us to play Bubsy? Damn you.
Brandon for that one.
All right.
Bubsy, I think that's a lot.
I'll have to play Bubsy now.
I'm pretty sure I saw Mike Atari doing a stream on Bubsy and really not getting all that far. It was just one of those really unpleasant games.
I'll play Bubsy, but I gotta message Audie real quick and tell him I'm talking shit about him on stream before I do. So this is excellent. I never really loved the shooters where you die the moment you're hit, but this really, if you like Raiden, that was an interesting and kind of an excellent port.
That's another thing I'd love to actually be any good at and enjoy is any of the shooters, which is stuff like Ikaruga. Just unbelievable, but I'm rubbish when it comes to shooters, so there's never been any good, unfortunately.
All right, messaging Audie and then leaving him a link.
I seem to remember the Lynx version of Raiden was quite good as well.
Yeah, so Tito from Macho Nacho built this on stream for my friend the other day, and I thought it would be fun to have here in case we had some extra time. I could kind of play it until I realized a friend has my game drive. So,
No problem. Yeah, PUBG's one of those games that doesn't actually look too bad, but it's just unplayable.
Wait,
You hit something, you're dead.
that's it. I'm dead
Yeah.
just for touching something?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. I mean, it's a neat animation. It's colorful. The
Yeah.
music's not bad at all. It's weird that there's only one button.
I think there's a higher jump.
Oh,
Yeah.
so A is jump once. Oh, A is jump and float.
And then there's like a,
And like
super
a-
jump.
Super jump.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you die? I didn't even see that.
Ah, fuck Audie Sorley. And fuck Bubsy.
That's one of the annoying things when you can die and not know what's happened. Oh, well, you can jump on those apparently, and not die.
That must
So
have been
you-
the snake that I hit before. Oh,
Are
no,
you-
a
no.
pelican killed me.
I think you're okay, perhaps, if you land on them from above, Mario
Yeah.
style. But if you run into them, you're dead.
I'm done. What's next? What are the other suggestions? Audie! I knew it! I knew he was coming. I love you, buddy. I hope you heard me just talk shit about you. I knew if there was a wild Bubsy, Audie would appear. That's amazing. Thank you for stopping by, dude. Oh, that is cool. Were there any other people who had suggestions from the chat?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to look for. There was Pinball Fantasies was mentioned as well.
Okay. If we want any suggestions for terrible games, Audie is excellent at that. Audie, you have to jump on the rabbit, you idiot. Yeah, it's a nice looking and nice sounding game, but no thanks. We'll move along. Interesting stereo effects in this so far.
I can't remember whether it was kind of any better than the Amiga version or whether it was just a really nice port. Pinball Fantasy. It was a nice game, man.
What display do you use when you play the Amiga?
Amiga is something I've never owned, so I think probably the only thing I've played Amiga on would be emulator. But well, I mean that's not entirely true. I would have played Pinball Fantasies back in the day, just on some random TV, probably through RF. It would have been terrible.
How do you start the game?
One on the D-pad, on the number pad, I believe. If you go back,
Oh.
if you exit, and then the menu is you press
Oh,
not
thank
the
you.
most obvious. Again, it's one of those things where every game seems to have a different interface, and it's all not quite there. Oh, cannon fodder, yeah, that's somebody who's mentioned cannon fodder on the Jag. That was actually quite good. For a game which is predominantly mouse driven and good because of it, that actually played quite well on D-pad.
It took a moment for me to realize left is the left flipper and B is the right flipper. So
Right, yeah.
I'll get better.
Yeah, mouse support for cannon fodder, that'd be another interesting addition. But again, it's probably not all that much better than the Amiga version then. guessing.
Not an easy game, huh?
Depends whether you're good at pinball, I think. I was never very good. There's an incredibly good Amstrad CPC port of Pinball Fantasies as well, which has come out recently, which is incredibly good.
So Audie says, Jaguar is one of my favorite systems because no matter what you pull out of the blind bag, it makes you hate the whole concept of video games. Also play Fight for Life. Oh yeah, we gotta play that one.
Yeah, gotta play that.
This is cool, but I don't like the depth of, or I don't like how little you could see of the pinball machine.
Yeah.
Because that's one of the things that a real pinball machine, you're obviously looking at the entire thing. So that's just going to annoy me that I don't really understand where the ball's going to be hitting. But, alright, let's check out another Audie Sorley special. Fight for Life.
Yeah, one of those ones that was supposed to be Virtua Fighter. Mm. Yeah, I watched the interview you did with Audi. Really, yeah, really interesting. Very interesting guy. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, he has the same twisted sense of humor I do, which is why I thought it was funny to message him and tell him to come in. Okay, so it is a Virtua Fighter ripoff.
Things are textured. At least that's something.
I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm not messing with Audie here. Like, I'm being kind of serious in that if you think of the time when this came out, this style of fighting game was still kind of finding its roots, and this is not the worst fighting game I've ever played.
This could have been good, I think. Well, I mean, it obviously never came out, and it was, I guess, more of a tech demo than anything. But again, it's one of those things where the finer points of the actual gameplay were often lost because things like this were all about how well they played, and
that was neat.
This played quite well.
Yeah, it's infinitely better than Bruce Lee already.
Mm.
So yeah, I mean, it's not VF, but like if this was a launch pack-in title, I'd have hated it a lot less. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, it's better than a lot of stuff. Funnily enough, this is better than I remember. I haven't looked at this in a long time.
So, should we try some Jag CD stuff after this, or is there another game, or did I miss any super chats or anything? Oh, Audi says try Ultra Vortec.
Yeah, Ultra Vortec
and then Katsumi Ninja. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. If you want to go down the fighting game route, a friend had Kasumi Ninja. That was quite weird. With the Scottish guy with his fireball coming out of his kilt. That's an unusual special move. Ultra Vortec was, I remember, just a bit awkward again. There was never a decent fighting game, really, sadly.
I think it'll be fun that if the Jaguar Core does come out, looking at you, Ash, and I'm going to go back and I'll go back to this live stream and play. I'll make sure to not play any game that I played here just so that I can have a different experience of the Jaguar and kind of see how I feel. And also, maybe I'll just play with a regular USB controller and see if I like it better or worse. I don't hate this controller, though. A lot of people do. I don't.
Primal Rage, that's interesting. That's one of the Jag CD ones, isn't it? If we seem to be going down the Beastman route in the chat here.
Also, not great, but not terrible. So this didn't really age well, especially if you see games on other platforms of this era. You could tell that this is not going to be one of the best games we remember, but this is not terrible.
Yeah, as you say, it's kind of mediocre. And I've got a vague memory. The frame rate wasn't 60 on this either. I think it's running at 30, which
definitely
a little off for what it is. But again, I mean, one thing to remember is developers were under massive pressure from Atari to get stuff out and do it cheaply at this point. So I've obviously been on the other end of the stick with this sort of stuff, where you find the developers are criticised and so on. And it's because you're being told to do these things. Get it out now. It doesn't matter. We don't care. Just do it. So
my doorbell just rang. So could you continue to talk about your dev experience? Because that's way more interesting than listening to me answer a door. Be right back.
Okay. Yeah, Electron mentioning the dental hygiene thing. That's one of the most bizarre things, where the Jaguar shell, if anybody doesn't know, for the console ended up being a case for a dental cleaning device. I don't know where that ended up. I think a lot of the shells actually ended up going back to sensible people. Atari Age have got the injection shells for the actual cartridges. But yeah, oh no, they did, didn't they? They got the clear. I don't know who's producing them, but they've got the clear cases for the Jaguars, which were based on the original shells as well. But yes, it's one of those things where the Jaguar could have actually done a decent conversion of something like Street Fighter 2, but yeah, I'm assuming Atari wasn't going to pay for the development rights and so on, and so we ended up with what we got. But assuming we're going to have a look at Kasumi Ninja before too long, which I think was one of the quite early games on the Jag. I know a friend of mine had one. We had them when they released. So yeah, that'll be interesting.
A bunch of chats seem to keep being caught, so I apologize. I'm not blocking anybody's chat. I'm not deleting anything. Just a bunch of ones that weren't even swears were getting caught up, so my apologies. But I guess let's try some Jag CD ones, because I really do want to try a couple. And I think Battle Morph should be one that we start with, because Cybermorph, but on the Jag CD. And I have the overlay for it.
Can't remember how good or bad this was, to be honest.
I think this one actually had music, so it's already, it's probably the same horrible game, but with music.
It actually had, well, I mean, I think all of the Jag CD stuff had was streaming audio from the CD. So that's one thing I guess you did get on a lot of the Jag stuff, was improved audio.
Is this frozen, or is this just a load time?
I guess that's probably frozen.
All right.
That's one of the things which is really finicky on the Jag CD support, is if it boots, it's generally fine. But yeah, quite a lot of the time things will hang.
I'll try one more time, and we'll see, hopefully.
No, that's working.
Was it working for you?
It has worked. Funnily enough, Battle Morph is one of the ones which is more finicky than the others that's starting. I think Battle Morph, Blue Lightning, I think they were both the same sort of, I don't know if they're the same developers, but it seemed to be both the same sort of launch code. Oh, you got Black Ice White Noise. I never looked at that.
I will try them all, or I will try all of them until we find one that works, just so we can say that we played Jag CD.
Yeah, it's something I need to get back onto, the Jag CD.
Also, no. All right. Not doing so well with the support so far. Let's see if we can figure out a game that definitely works. Do you know of one that consistently does work?
I used to play. I used to test with Dragon's Lair quite a lot, and I'm fairly sure that was consistent. It's one of the world's most frustrating games, I think. Yeah.
So I don't think I ever actually learned how to play this game, to be honest with you.
No, hello. It's the video hung. That should have been the opening titles. That's interesting.
All right, well, let's keep trying. We got to play at least one Jag CD game. Is there a way, much like you did, find workarounds to deal with the original problems of the first run of Jaguars? Is there a way to try to increase CD compatibility, knowing that it's an uphill battle? Is it something that you'd be able to do in future firmwares?
Yeah, I do think I can improve it a load. It's one of those things where everything's hanging. It's one of those things where I've had a massive uphill battle for the last couple of years with being able to produce hardware at all. So a lot of my time's been having to effectively go back and redesign stuff. I'm just working on the Neo Geo Pocket, a different new version of that, because I cannot get any parts to make those anymore, and there won't be any until about the beginning of 2024. So I've been looking at that. I've been looking at the 7800 game drive, which again I redeveloped and pretty much entirely. It put me back about 6 months due to the lack of parts. So it's been a complete nightmare. Yeah, it's a total of nothing working on the Jag CD side.
Now, I definitely want to make the point that I have used this exact game drive, SD card, firmware, Jaguar. The only thing that was different was the controller, so maybe I'll try that next. But I've played these games before on here, so I'm not really sure what's up, but we'll figure something out. Iron Soldier?
Give it a go. Yeah, one of the things which is an issue on some the Jag CD stuff is the speed of the memory card. As in, if it's an older one, then you can get issues with it not reading quick enough, and then things hang. But yeah, if you've used this one before, then it won't be that.
Didn't you have a test that you made to see if it works or if it's fast enough?
Not speed-wise. There was to see whether that was another one of the daft things, because of the read speed issues I was getting. The CD images had to be completely sequential on the memory card. So in other words, you either had to defrag it or copy the CD images on first before anything else, so they weren't fragmented. So that's where it pops up and says checking image integrity, and that's what it's doing. It's just making sure the image is sequential before it boots it. I think that was on as well.
I didn't hit pause. Well, let's keep trying.
Kind of none so far. Yeah, I'm glad I stressed it was a kind of beta level. I might revert that to alpha for the CD support, I think.
I've never even heard of Robinson's Requiem. Anybody know what this game is? I'm not sure if it'll even work or not.
Was that a bit like Myst? I can't remember. I remember it being on the Falcon. It's really even the Atari ST. Another one that's just dying.
Maybe I know there's probably... Oh,
no.
wait, it's back. There's probably zero chance of it being the controller, but this is the only thing that was different from the last time I used this Jag when we were talking about compatibility, and whatever the last post I made about your game drive was when I used it. And so let me put this one back. Unlike new controller I'll be sending my friend. Lightly used on stream, and I'll use the 6-button controller that I usually used, because this was always on the top of the pile. So okay.
I know one issue with some Jags is when they warmed up, they would behave differently to when they were cold. Certainly the Jag I've got of yours, which is problematic. When that's cold, that works fine, but as soon as it warms up, it gets really, really flaky.
I got the AC going, so it's definitely not hot in here.
And no, I didn't go to Jagfest in Germany. I can't remember whether I can't remember whether the GD was shown over there or not. Martin Mrozek, I don't know how to pronounce that, over at Dragon Box. Yeah, so I was at GD's. I know I'm pretty sure he was over there.
Another winner. All right. We're going to have one. Come on, before the stream's over, let's play one Jag CD game.
Yeah, it is weird, the compatibility issues. There's certainly plenty of streams and videos of people playing Jag CD stuff. It's, yeah, it's really odd.
All right. Highlander?
Give it a go.
What's Gorf?
Sounds familiar, but no, I think that was an arcade game, wasn't it? Yeah.
Oh. What's the combination that I could push to show what version firmware I'm on?
Hit 0 on the pad.
Am I on the newest here?
I believe so. Yeah, I think so. I mean, its CD support was added quite some time ago, so in theory, nothing has changed in that respect.
I wonder if it is a heat thing, because I've always tested it cold whenever I was doing those Jag CD tests.
It is possible. As I say, with the Jag, there is so much which is kind of flaky. But again, it's something I need to revisit. It's, well, as I've got your very finicky Jag, I need to start having a look at that and see if I can get stuff working on that, because on mine, all of this stuff was working, regardless of, because I've been working on it all day, and it would generally have no issue. I've got a feeling this was probably just a kind of load from CD and then...
Yeah, this is a homebrew game that's proof of concept, which is cool, but it's not what I'm looking to do at the moment. We'll try a little longer to get this working, and if there's anybody in the chat that has an idea for what other game to play, or if there's a last game to play or something, and we'll wrap it up in a bit. But I'm just trying to think of Soul Star. Did I not do that one yet?
Nope.
All right.
That's something I've not seen. Heard about it.
Audie, you are absolutely correct. I already know the game we're ending on, just out of principle. Is this working?
Looks like it. It's interesting. I've never seen this. Did you press the button or did that? Oh, no.
Yeah, yeah.
Still working.
The Mercoids have flown a warp ship into the Soul Star system. Your primary objective is to gain access to the warp ship. The mission has 3 phases. Phase 1, penetrate the Mercoid's first line of defense. Phase 2, destroy the interceptor bases on the planet Lara. Phase 3, penetrate the Mercoid's second line of defense and enter the warp ship.
I'm nervous. I'm afraid to tell. Oh, it worked!
Cool. Well, there you go. Something I've never seen before.
It doesn't look bad.
Yeah. Was
Music
this
CD
on,
quality?
like Mega Drive and stuff like that. I've got a vague memory it was on other platforms. I think. In Avery? This game? I can't remember. Okay, it appeared on the Sega CD, so yeah, it was on the Mega Drive as well. Yeah, so it was RetroRGB as well. Or I see a lot doing C64 stuff now, which is very cool. So this is another one of the unreleased titles, which is a shame. This looks really nice.
This was an unreleased title?
Yeah.
I mean, this is a perfectly playable game.
Yeah, I think it was one of those ones that it was right at the end of the James life, and I'm guessing it was when Atari went bankrupt, basically. So it was something that was complete, but yeah, never went anywhere.
I mean, it's not Star Fox, but this is not a bad game.
Yeah, I mean, this appeared on the Mega CD, so it'd be interesting to see a side-by-side comparison. So. And yeah, the Mega CD had all of the scaling hardware and the CD add-on as well. So I'm guessing it would be pretty similar.
Not bad at all. Alright, well, we saw a Jag CD game. Now that it worked, I want to try just to see if Battle Morph works again. Because now we got one working. Maybe we cleared the path. But if not, then let's just play one final game. And unless there's anything specifically you wanted me to test or try out, James?
No, nothing particular, I don't think.
Okay.
Nope.
Nothing. All right.
It's frustrating.
All right. Another a final Audi Sorley special. White Men Can't Jump. This game came with they called it a Team Tap adapter. I put it on my Instagram page when I've been posting daily pictures of different games and stuff that I found. And yeah, it's supposed to be terrible, but I've never played it before. So now I'm kind of interested to see.
Yeah, I've got a vague memory this is quite bad, but I can't remember for sure. Yeah, High Voltage did Ultra Vortec as well, didn't they?
These weren't people from the movie. I think. I haven't seen that movie since it came out, but...
Interesting.
How come all Jaguar games do that wavy thing? Like the checkered flag?
Something they could do with the DSPs or something. I don't know.
I wonder if that was like a tech demo that Atari put out. Like, look what you could do. And they just copied it and pasted it into every game. Yeah, this is not a good basketball game.
Reminds me of Basketball on the Lynx, which, yeah, I was never a big fan of.
Here it comes. Yo, take it. Yo, take it. Hard work being this good. I'm open. Yo, take it.
I just punched the guy in the face! What a terrible game!
It's like Pit Fighter meets basketball, isn't it?
Oh, that's hysterical.
Brick, what? Yo. Rockin'. Watch it. I'm open. Rejected.
I mean, the sound effects are kind of neat, but, like, this is terrible.
Nothing but net.
Well, before we go, does anybody have any questions about any games, any of the very awesome accessories that I showed? Of course, the most used accessory here being the game drive. I got the overlays. Just give me. It's not too late, so I should be able to update the links in this description and put a post on RetroRGB right away, so you'll be able to purchase any of the stuff that you see here that's in stock. Remember, we're still in the middle of a global part shortage. However, this was conveniently timed because, James, I believe you said that vendors are getting some more game drives next week, right?
Yeah, they would have arrived today in the US. UK had them yesterday. I think Germany had them yesterday as well. I know the UK retailers had them in stock as of yesterday, this morning. Just seeing whether Stone Age Gamer have got them up yet. Not yet, but I suspect they will, probably as of Monday or early next week anyway. Likewise, Dragonbox will have them early next week. But yeah, they're available at the moment in the UK. Retro Gamer stuff and Retro Powers. But yeah, this is likely to be the last load of Jag GDs until the very earliest, about December. I've seen that Lattice have actually got some parts coming in around the end of November, middle of November. So yeah, as soon as I can get some parts, then I can make some. But just getting absolutely royally stuffed on prices for specifically Lattice FPGA. It's just been unavailable for, well, coming to years now, I think. Apart from three scalpers who have about quadrupled the price. So, yeah, it's not fun.
Well, thank you very much, James, for joining me. Sterius in the chat wanted to know if I'm going to be selling any of this stuff. These are all my friends. I'm sending this all to him. The only thing that I am probably going to end up with an extra one is at least one extra SCART cable. I think I have a second one laying around because I bought a couple over the years. But that's pretty much it. So other than that, no, all this stuff's pretty much just, it is, it's here. I could probably... I could probably part with Checkered Flag, but you don't want it, trust me. So, well, thank you, James. Of course, thank everybody in the chat. Anybody who participated, and especially super chats, are always really appreciated. So thank you all very much. And I hope to someday come back and do another stream with you, James. Maybe if I have a Lynx with the TV out or something like that, we could use real hardware just to show it off. And even if not, you're always welcome just to have a chat and hang out if you feel like it.
Yeah, all good.
Cool. Well, thank you all very much, and I'll see you next time.